気分は最高だけどびっくり世界がどんどん
Welcome to the Super Sentai Brothers. This is episode 30 of The Spy Who Loved Megaranger, the internet's best and only podcast dedicated to Denji Sentai Megaranger. Every week we watch an episode of the show and we share our thoughts with you, the listener. My name is Matt J. With me as always is my co-host and brother Dave. Dave, how you doing today?
Oh, doing pretty well. Had kind of a day. Not going to lie, man. Had kind of a long day today. I had one of those... I had one of those I love my kids butt days. Yeah. Anybody, I think, with kids knows exactly the day that I'm talking about. So I love my kids. Man, I love them so much. But. Anyways, but they're asleep now, Matt, so I have a measure of peace, and here I am talking to you. So that's always a pleasure.
It is. And a pleasure talking to you. And you know what else is a pleasure, Dave? It's watching Denji Sentai Megaranger. This week we're watching episode 30, Full Throttle, the Friendship Combination. Which is almost what we called this podcast, actually. But before we get into that, Dave, we have our officially award-winning opening segment, Shining in the Heavens, There Are 5 Stars. Would you like to hear what our first star of the week is?
Oh, I'd be delighted, Matt.
So, Dave, over this past weekend, our parents were in town.
Yes. Yeah, well, they sort of arrived rather suddenly.
Extremely suddenly.
Which is why we didn't actually have an episode last week. The day we were going to record, I got a text from Mom and Dad, and they said, hey, we're on our way up. And I was like, oh, great. I'm always delighted to see you. Didn't know you were coming, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Not doing anything else.
Right, yeah. Like, they're the only people, like, they and you are the only people I see anymore. So when they're in town, it's great.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And Mom watched my kids for like 6 hours or something on Saturday. It was amazing.
Oh, yeah. Well, while she was doing that, Dad went over to the new house with me, and we're doing some stuff. Doing some house stuff, right? This is a thing that I've been doing in my... what precious little free time I have these days is going sort of directly into that for the most part. And there were a couple of projects that I wanted to do that I could use a hand with. And one of them was that the light fixture by the back door was not working. Like, the light would not light up. Which, because of the state of this house, is like, man, that could be a dead bulb. That could be a broken fixture. That could be... wires that are just like
it could be literally anything.
Yeah,
right. This problem could go from very simple to incredibly complex.
Right. And so I'm like, listen, here's what I want to do. Like the sort of fixture that it was has like a built-in LED like lighting, and that wasn't working. So I'm like, I couldn't just put in a new light bulb. So let's just buy like the cheapest decent version of a replacement fixture, put that up in its place, see if that works, like spend the $20 or whatever to see if that works. And if that works, then I can A, have a functioning light back there, and B, like deal with getting a nice one that I really like later.
Totally makes sense.
Like I'm not, like I don't want to spend like $80 on a super fancy motion sensor thing and then, plug it into wires that aren't actually connected to the panel.
Exactly. A prudent choice, Matt.
So we go to Home Depot. I do this. I also buy, I needed a ladder for this, but also just because I needed a ladder. And I got this, one of those, I don't know, like a yoga ladder. The ones that can be straight and can also bend in half to be like a step ladder.
Yeah. Those things are cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't imagine that they're officially called yoga ladders, but that's...
They could be, because as soon as you said it, I knew what you meant.
Yeah, so I got one of those. It was very cool, very exciting to get a new ladder. I get up there, we spend some time, pulling off the old fixture, putting on the new one, throwing the breakers and throwing the breakers back and, doing all this sort of...
all the things.
Yeah.
All the things that you do.
Pretty basic job, but not something I've done a lot myself in the past, and so, there's just a lot of sort of finickiness about it. Plus, you're up on a ladder, So we get it all up there, and... we we turn the breakers back on, and lo and behold, the light does not work. I'm like, oh, crap. So,
oh, no.
you know, like we're looking at the breaker box, and we're like looking at like the wires as they come into the basement, and like making sure that there's no disconnect. And we're, you know, I've got like a multimeter, and we're sort of prodding at the wires with that to see if we can get the needle to jump, to like see if there's any power going through the wires. Because, you know, like, again, there could be anything wrong with it. And eventually, we can't figure it out. I'm like, you know what, let's just put the new one back up, because we had taken it off at some point to check the wires again. I'm like, let's just put this back up so that there's something up there. I'll have to call an electrician. We can figure this out later. But at least we know that, like, the fixture that's on there is new and theoretically works. We have to figure out what the other problem is, but we've at least dealt with that aspect of it. Well, like, a day and a half later, Dad and I were talking, and I forget which one of us had the realization. It was probably him. He's like, "Hey, Matt." Yeah, it was him. He's like, "Hey, Matt, there's a light switch in your kitchen, isn't there?" I'm like, yeah, there is. He's like, "Do you know what that light switch goes to?" And I said, "No, I don't. I haven't been able to figure out what that light switch goes to yet." He's like, "Should probably go check that light switch." So, and I hadn't been to the house in a couple of days because I've been busy with other stuff, but I was sitting around at home. I finished work last night. I actually finished work a little late. So the sun had already gone down, and before I sat down to, like, you know, have dinner, I thought, okay, I'm just gonna, like, I've been thinking about this all day. I've just got to go check. And I go in, and I go into the house, and I flip the light switch, and sure enough, of course, like, we had done everything perfectly right. It's just that the light wasn't turned on.
Now, wait a minute. Now, I'm going to assume that at some point in the past, you had flipped this switch to try to figure out what was going on with it, right?
Way in the past, yeah. Because the
okay,
switch...
so there had been a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're not completely crazy here. There definitely was a problem with the fixture. You just fixed it without realizing.
Right, yes, there was definitely a problem, and we had fixed it. But, like, we didn't realize that we had successfully fixed it until, like, 2 days later. So that was nice. It was like I had tried to check something off the list, and then I had to, like, uncheck it off the list, and now I got to go back and recheck it off the list. Which really makes it feel like I accomplished twice as many things.
You did 2 things, that's right. You got to check it off twice. That counts.
Yeah. Anyway, so that is my house update for the week. Dave, what is our second star of the week?
Our second star of the week, man, as it so often is, it's Bun Vulcan. Welcome to Bun Vulcan. Now, this is a baking thing. It is not but it is not like I guess for lack of a better term, a flour-based baking thing, Matt. I made, for the first time, a baked custard.
Ooh.
Yeah, I did a baked custard, and it turned out... Now, there's 2 exciting things about this. The first exciting thing about this is, like I said, I've been trying to bake less, right? I've been trying to cut back down. And so one of the things is that I've been trying to figure out baked goods that I can still do that are fun, that are, like low carb, right?
Sure.
Less sugar or artificial sugar or whatever else. And there's an artificial sugar we use. It's called monk fruit. And it's good and it's nice and sweet. And it's like a fruit juice. It's like a naturally occurring. It's like stevia kind of, right?
Sure.
And but it has just like a little bit of like odd flavor, like at the back of your tongue, right? Mm-hmm. Like it just doesn't taste quite like sugar, because nothing really tastes quite like sugar. But so I've been kind of experimenting with it, trying to find recipes that it kind of mitigates and stuff. So I did this baked custard with the monk fruit. And you've really, like, all of the other elements of it, totally masked it. It was killer. It was amazing. Like, I was so stoked at how it turned out. It was delicious. It was, like, silky and smooth.
Ooh, nice. The magazine.
We like it. the magazine. I don't think anybody really gets Martha Stewart. She's a weird lady. Anyways, on the front of the magazine, because Martha Stewart is like 85 or something.
Is she
Like she's
really?
no. She's 79. She's 79. She's not quite 80. And she does not look like she's 79. And on the front of the magazine, it's like Martha's tips for aging well. It'd be like, man, be rich. Be like just bonkers rich.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to do wonders for how well you age. Just be absolutely crazy rich. It's going to help you out tremendously. Thanks so much, Martha. But anyways, I made this custard out of Martha Stewart Living, and it was baked custard, and it was delicious. I was really proud of it. That's really the whole thing. I just did it.
Cool.
It was good.
You know what else is really nice? This is not a star. This is just an email that I literally just got, and I'm very excited about. I just had a fresh set of leopard print fingerless gloves delivered. They're sitting on my porch right now.
Oh. Well, do you want to pause for a moment and go get them?
No. They'll keep.
Okay, good.
You know what it is that I period.
I mean, the audience wouldn't know, Matt.
They would now, I guess. Periodically, I will. I just order a new pair. So, like, even though I'm still in the middle of one or two pairs that I haven't fully worn through, I have now 2 new pairs sort of like in reserve. Because
I gotta say, Matt,
the reason that I do it is because the first kind of glove that I used to wear, like the original model, is no longer for sale. And I found like a new model that I like, and I'm just worried that is eventually no longer going to be for sale. And so I just periodically like buy another one so that eventually I can I figure if I have enough of them that I feel confident that I'm not going to like wear through them all by the time that I'm 40, then I can just sort of like roll on that. And then when I hit 40 and I'm still got them around, I can decide if like post 40 is still like a period in my life to be wearing leopard print fingerless gloves. But I just want to feel confident that I've got them in reserve.
I was going to say, if you're confident that this is the thing, I would just buy, how much are they? Like $5, $6? Just buy like 10 pair right now and then you'll be good.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of always the thought. And then I like put 10 of them in a cart and I'm like, this is stupid. I'm just going to buy 2. Anyway, that's just sort of a low-lying maintenance thing for my life. Dave, what is the third star of the week?
Man, the third star of the week, I genuinely, earlier today, was giddy like a schoolboy. I got an Xbox, Matt. I got an Xbox Series X.
Oh, nice.
They are still like crazy hard. I found I got a web extension that was like, we'll update you. Like basically we troll all retailers. Mm-hmm. And like as soon as somebody says they have stock in, like we'll let you know.
Okay.
And I got an alert earlier today that Costco had them, and I was like, boom, this is perfect. I have a Costco membership already, and I just like I ran, quote unquote. I typed very fast, and I logged in, and I was able to get one, and it was a deal where you got a second controller for like an extra $40.
Sure.
Which is great because the controllers are expensive, and it is on the way. I'm just like. I'm really, really excited that's
very exciting.
It is really exciting, Matt, because I'm in a place financially in my life where my bills are all paid and I'm not really worried about that, but neither do I have a lot of space in my budget for just like dropping $500 on an Xbox.
Right.
Like that's just like, I just don't have that. And so, but when this most recent round of stimulus, I was like, you know what? The last money, we're very responsible with our money, generally speaking. I vote, Beth, that we take this stimulus money, and this just is fun money. We can spend it on whatever we want. The life is stressful right now. Let's have this thing. And she was like, yes, great idea. And so she's been spending hers on art supplies, and I got an Xbox. And I'm just like, I'm really, really excited about it. And the fact that everybody doesn't refer to it as the Xbox X, I think is silly. Because it trips off the tongue. I like it very much.
Yeah.
Matt. would you like to know what our fourth star of the week is?
Dave, what is our fourth star of the week?
Fourth star of the week, Matt. I just got the new to me. I got Hitman 2 just in time for Hitman 3 to come out. Like, I got it like 2 days ahead of time.
Okay, now here's my question.
But I had not...
Hitman 2 you got for the Xbox One, right?
Yeah, that is correct.
And Hitman 3 is an Xbox Series X game, is it not?
No. It's out on the Xbox One.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, like, you just got a brand new system. Like, why wouldn't you get the one that's... I mean, it's cheaper, I guess, because it's a few years old. But, like...
Oh, yeah, I got the whole thing for like $15. And also, I got Hitman like a few days ago and I got the Xbox today. Right. So, so far, it's a blast, man. They sort of rebooted the Hitman series with Hitman 1 that came out in they just called it Hitman. It actually was like Hitman 5 or something like that.
Right, it's how...
But they sort of rebooted this...
Like Assassin's Creed 4 was like the 7th Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, exactly. So Hitman came out in 2016, and then Hitman 2 came out in 2018, and now Hitman 3 just came out. And they're really good. They're really, really good. Hitman, I've always been a fan of the series, but it had some rocky games. I'm not so big of a fan that I can't acknowledge that. But Hitman and then Hitman 2 so far they're just really, really good. Like, they are, if you like that sort of game, they are exemplars of the genre. They're fantastic. And this is cool. Hitman 2 has a game mode just called Sniper Assassin, where it's just a shooting gallery level.
Oh, okay.
Like, you don't move around. You just are like up on a perch with like a sniper rifle, and you're trying to do all this stuff. It's really, really fun. It's basically all of the game I've played. I haven't even really started in on the missions. I've just been doing the Sniper Assassin, and it's a blast.
Dude, remember that, what was it called? Silent Scope? The sniper arcade game?
Oh, dude. Oh, yes. I remember Silent Scope. I probably spent more money on Silent Scope than any other arcade game. I was never like a huge arcade guy, but I really liked Silent Scope.
It was great. It had like a little screen inside the scope. So like you would look at like the big screen to see like the whole area, and then you would like look inside the scope, and there would be like a little bitty TV in there that was showing you what the scope was supposed to be looking at on the big screen.
Yeah, it was genuinely a pretty incredible game design on
arcades,
their part.
I love arcades. I miss arcades.
I do too. You know, I think like the arcade game was such like a unique game design space, right? Because you could build in all of this crazy stuff. It would be very difficult to do in a home system.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, I'm playing Hitman 2. I probably won't play Hitman 3 for quite a while, but I am super enjoying Hitman 2. What, Matt, is our fifth star of the week?
Dave, fifth star of the week is, so as I said, Mom and Dad were over, and they were staying with me for most of that time. I mean, they were going back and forth to, like, you know, see everyone, but they were sleeping at my place. Yeah. Just because it's quieter there, I think.
Legit.
And so we were sitting around one night, like, let's watch something. And we checked, we looked at the handful of YouTube channels that that all of us enjoy watching. And like, there was nothing new there. And we're sort of poking through Netflix and, whatever, and trying to find something there, and nothing really popped out at us. We had already watched Shanghai Noon, but we couldn't really watch Shanghai Nights, of course, because it's still Western's January, and even though it's got the same characters as Shanghai Noon, it's in England.
It's not really a Western, yeah. That's.
I mean, Shanghai Noon is only Shanghai Noon. That's a weird movie. If you haven't seen that one since it came out, like, there is so much in that movie that you straight up would never see in a movie anymore. Just like the jokes in that movie, some of them hold up. Some of them do not hold up. I mean, Jackie Chan's always a delight. No, anyway, so we're just looking at my like Apple TV interface, and she's like, "Well, what's going on with that PBS channel?" And I said, "Mom, literally, I have never clicked on that button. I don't know what happens if I do. So I clicked on it, and it asked me to like log in, which I actually did have a login because I'm a supporter of our local NPR affiliate, so I get like a little like bonus PBS access thing, I guess, which I remember was like
cool.
in an old email from last year that I had never opened. So I punched that in, and Dave, turns out I have an entirely separate streaming service on my like TV. Like that it's got a bunch of stuff, and I've been paying for it through this NPR thing for like a year and a half, 2 years, I don't know. But like it's got all of Ken Burns' documentaries. I watched like a 2-hour documentary about the history of the White House.
Dude, I love me some Ken Burns, as do everybody loves him. He's famous, but I do love those Ken Burns documentaries.
It's got old Julia Childs, like old Julia Child. It's got the new All Creatures Great and Small James Herriot show, which I have not watched yet, but like it's a new James Herriot show.
I do want to watch that. I love James Herriot.
So
heartwarming.
Herriot. So good. Anyway, yeah, I was just excited because I got to remember like, yeah, PBS is good. And what I really love about it is that like the interface for it is so basic, because like, yeah, it's PBS. Here are the shows we have. You know, you log into Netflix and the UI is very like sleek.
Yeah, there's like sound effects and stuff.
You log into the PBS app and like the version of the White House documentary that I watched, at the end of it is like, if you liked watching this, you can buy a DVD of it for $24.99, because it's just literally like they just ripped it off of whatever they used to show on PBS. You know, like they didn't even bother pulling out the ad for selling the DVD at the end. They're just like, yeah, just put it up there. It's fine. Because because otherwise, like, there's no reason for me to buy a DVD of it. I have access to it on a streaming device. Anyway, it was really fun. PBS is great. And that, Dave, I guess that is our 5th star of the week. So we're going to take a break.
It surely is, Matt.
We're going to watch episode 30 of Denji Sentai Megaranger. It is called Full Throttle, the Friendship Combination. Of course, it was written by Junki Takagami, and its original air date, as you all well know, September 14th, 1997. You can watch along with us on the DVDs or at shoutfactory.tv. Recommend that you do. This is a good one, and we'll see you right back here in just a moment. Okay, welcome back to the show. Episode 30, Dave. Full Throttle.
Dude, it is so weird to me, and I don't know why. Maybe it's, I don't know. I feel like we always have this discussion around this time of the season. It just feels so weird to me that this is episode 30.
Are we there in this season? Are we in this season where we start talking about how weird it is that we're this far into the season?
I think, well, apparently we are. I didn't know that until you said episode 30, and I was like, oh, dang, it is episode 30, isn't it? You know why it feels actually a little bit weird?
It's been a long time coming this time.
Yeah, it has been. That's legit. There's been a lot of stuff. Been a lot of stuff happening, Matt. You know why I think particularly it feels weird that it's episode 30 is it doesn't feel like we're getting quite those episode 30 story beats.
Yeah.
That I kind of expect.
No, I totally agree.
We had Guy Rail show up. But he actually showed up around like episode 21 or 22, which is a little bit early. And also he has not been the sort of like, you know, usually around this time, there's like a villain takeover.
Sure, there's the mid-season pivot. And although Megaranger's been really good the whole way through, those sort of like milestones in the progression of the season that we normally see just kind of haven't happened. Like, they got another robot. That was something.
They did.
Guy Rail did show up. You know, you got a new monster. But, like, normally when you get a new guy, that guy either takes over, like, immediately or begins to take over surreptitiously. But Guy Rail seems like a character who is actively trying to take over surreptitiously, but like can never actually get it together.
Yeah, and we also were not getting. I was expecting to have, kind of given the lack of personality in the Monsters of the Week, I was expecting more personality development out of the main villains at this point, right?
Right.
I was expecting to have a lot more from, like, Hinelar and Shibalina and stuff.
Well, especially Hinelar,
because normally, right?
Because we know,
because he's obviously...
Yeah, like from earlier in the season, we got that episode where it's like, oh, well, Dr. Hinelar is obviously Dr. Kubota's, like, old human friend who got sucked into the Nezare dimension and has been, like, transformed and is now back. And that's never been referenced again after that one episode.
Yeah, I really am. Because normally, right, you get either kind of, like, semi-boring lieutenants, but a ton of, a lot of character development out of the monsters, or vice versa. This season, I feel like we haven't gotten much character development out of the Monsters of the Week, but we also haven't really seen a whole lot out of the lieutenants. Now, we have gotten a lot out of the... we've gotten a lot from the Rangers.
Yeah, which actually is
think,
something that in, like, in O-Ranger and to an extent in Car Ranger, we kind of didn't. O-Ranger especially.
Yeah,
like,
no, totally.
Like some of those characters by the end of it were like, man, I guess he sure was green, and that's the season.
Yeah.
I like Minoru. That's not, that wasn't nice to say about him.
Fine, right? Well, I mean, that's the thing is they were, well, whatever. We'll talk about this later. So
Wait,
this
hang
episode...
on. Did I remember his name correctly, or did I just... Who was Minoru?
No, Minoru is from Car Ranger.
Car Ranger, yes.
I think.
Yes. Yeah, Minoru is he was the salesman in Car Ranger.
Yeah, he was the green Car Ranger. So
Yeah.
you at least got he was green. That part was right.
I was trying to remember the name of the green O-Ranger.
Oh, man. His name...
It wasn't Goro. I know that.
It was Yuji? Was that our boy?
I think Yuji was the blue O-Ranger, wasn't he?
Yuji was the blue O-Ranger. Shohei was
of course.
Was the... Yeah.
Watched a lot of these seasons,
okay.
guys.
We have, and... I can hold their names in my head while we're watching it, but after that, I do lose it a little bit.
You know what it is? I will always remember the Dairanger and Jetman character names off the top of my head, and beyond that, I will always remember the Red Rangers, and after that, it's kind of a crapshoot if it's not the season.
It's a little
we're
bit of a
currently talking
crapshoot.
About.
Although I feel like I'll remember the Megarangers. This is a really good season, there's a lot going on with these characters. Speaking of these characters and this season, let's talk about it.
Let's talk basketball,
So
Dave.
this episode opens... Let's talk weirdly basketball. So we open up with basketball, and it's Kenta and Shun on the court, and they're playing, and they throw some secret hand signs to each other, and they're like, yes, awesome. And then they do... I love this because it is 100% we're about to use our O-Ranger superpowers in training to win at basketball.
Megaranger.
Because what they do, Megaranger, sorry, is that I think it's Shun, passes the ball to Kenta. Kenta, throws it up in front of him. Shun runs up behind him, jumps onto Kenta's shoulders, leaps off of his shoulders, grabs the ball from midair, and I think slam dunks it.
He does slam dunk it, yes.
Yeah. Mr. Uiwa...
He literally jumps...
is...
He jumps over Koichiro, who was on the opposing team.
Oh, I missed that. Mr. Uiwa is there... For some reason, the physics teacher is also acting as the gym teacher. I don't really know, but he does blow his whistle. He's just like, you can't do that. That is an illegal move. Which I feel like if they had pressed him, they could have probably pulled an Air Bud in this situation.
I also have that in my notes, is that they should have airbud this. Like, there's nothing in the rules that say you can't use, like, Super Sentai team techniques to win at your game.
So anyways, he calls him and he's like, that's an illegal move. But the point of this is that Miko and Shisato are just like, dang, Kenta and Shun have gotten really close. It does seem weird.
Because they're both completely
their personalities...
selfish.
Yeah, like, it's very weird because their personalities are actually very similar, even though their grades are completely different.
Yeah.
We go. I just like everybody, any opportunity to sort of remind us, the audience, that Kenta is a terrible student. I like that is like a show beat note that they might make sure to hit as often as possible.
So we go to the Nezare dimension, and boy, these Nezare leaders are getting an earful from their boss, who is just furious with them. King Javius the First. These people are not getting a great quarterly review.
Yeah. I think he's like, you guys are pathetic. This is terrible. How can you not have taken over Earth already? There's like 5 Megarangers. You're like ultra scientist warriors from the power dimension with like infinite monsters at your disposal. How have these Megarangers still defeated you?
And
Guy-Rail rolls in. This is amazing. The line he throws, he's just like, dude, King Javius, I feel so bad that Dr. Hinalar is having such a terrible time with this. It's great because Javius like cuts him off. He's like, dude, this is not the time. It is also your job, and you also are boofing it hard.
Yeah. So we cut down to Earth, and Guy-Rail is like straight up Charlie Browning it. He is just like walking through a field, like kicking at a rock, like, man, King Javius was mad at me too. Okay, I gotta come up with a plan to deal with this. And that plan is to completely manipulate and betray Ugande. Ugande immediately appears.
It's a very, very good plan.
Because Ugande had called Guy-Rail had called Ugande down to Earth. Ugande shows up. He's like, hey man, what do you need and why did you want to talk about it here? And Guy-Rail's like,
this seems weird.
So, welcome to the conversation. And then just starts attacking him with his sword. They fight for like 3 seconds, and Guy-Rail stops. And he's like, oh my gosh, whoa, hang on a second. I was totally wrong about you. You're really strong. We need to work together, strong man. Like, just so
and
obviously.
Yeah, and Ugande, to Ugande's credit, says, no, you are not trustworthy. Basically, ever since you have shown up, your number one priority seems to be undermining Dr. Hinalar. So we're not going to do that.
And Guy-Rail's like, oh yeah, Dr. Hinalar, man. Boy, you know what? King Javius is pretty mad. And if we can't figure out how to get him to calm down, he's probably going to murder Dr. Hinalar in like a fit of rage.
He's definitely going to murder him. So, it is, yeah.
So just you work with me, and then we'll win, and then Dr. Hinalar will be safe from the fury of King Javius the First. And this convinces Ugande, who is an idiot.
So when the Rangers arrive, they go through their whole introduction phase, which I sometimes take as sort of like a rough metric for episode quality. Like, if they go through the whole thing, it probably is not going to be a great episode because they felt the need to pad it out. I was pleasantly surprised with this. This was actually a very good episode.
Yeah. Although that is generally a good rule of thumb. That if they spend a full 2 minutes on the roll call, like, they're trying to pad some stuff out.
Yeah. It is weird the things you start to notice after, like, a few hundred episodes of Sentai.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, it's going to be a slow episode. They went through the whole 2 minutes. There you go. So anyways, they fight for a minute, and then the action really kicks into high gear because Ugande, like, runs forward to attack the Rangers, and Guy-Rail says, this is for the best! And then he just blasts Ugande in the back. The Rangers are like, not that we're complaining, but this is a weird development.
It's an extremely weird development, and it gets weirder because what happens next is that Gaira, like, has, like, this tendril that comes out of his arm that stabs into, like, the slashed wound on Ugande's back. And he's like, okay, this is for the best. And then just, like, merges with Ugande and creating just, like, this hybrid Ugande Gairail character called Giga Gairail. And Giga Gairail... it looks amazing.
Yeah, it's a very, very cool look. So, I don't know. I mean, like, it's a very cool blending of Gairail's, like, weird, twisty organics and Ugande's, like, vector line drawing sort of thing. It looks real neat.
What is cool is it does not look like one character design that is, like, the middle point between those two other character designs. It's like one character design, like, wrapped around another character design. Like,
it's very much like the swirl cone.
Yeah, exactly. It is a swirl cone. He is a big evil swirl cone from space.
So, from there, the fight proceeds very quickly. Actually, he does some sort of, like, super blast and manages to, like, freeze/imprison Mega Yellow and Mega Pink. Red and Blue are doing a great job fighting together. We got the foreshadowing of that. And just as about Mega Red is about to take, like, a real serious hit, Mega Blue intercepts, takes a hit himself. He goes down.
He gets hit, like, directly in the face.
Yeah, it's real bad. It's like helmet's broken open. You can, like, see the circuitry inside and everything.
Love that every time.
And so Koichiro jumps in, or Mega Black jumps in, and he's like, listen, I cannot handle this dude myself. I am knowingly, like, about to get myself frozen. You guys retreat and regroup. Which is exactly what happens. So, then the next scene we see, so Koichiro Mega Black does get frozen. The next scene we see, they're at a creek. They have unhenshin. Shun is hurt. Kenta's, like, dabbing his forehead with a handkerchief. He's like, dude, I'm super sorry. I was careless. We should have been able to do this. I don't know what happened. Shun wakes up and he's like, huh? What? So clearly, and they make this obvious in the next 30 seconds, Shun has lost his memory. Like, totally. Like, who am I? Who are you? What's going on?
Okay, so Kenta, like, kind of not sure what to do. He's like, well, I'll bring him to the school, and I'll bring him to the Digital Research Club, and, like, maybe that will jog his memory when he sees, like, a computer. He'll be like, oh, right, I'm shooting computers.
Right, I love it.
They walk into the room, and Shun is like, I've never been here before. What is this place?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Digital, what is it, research club? Why would I have been part of a digital research club?
What is research? What's a club? And Kenta has a great moment where he's like, oh, I know. I'll show you this thing that you did. And he pulls out a disc.
Well, he calls Dr. Kubota. And Dr. Kubota's like, you must show him the things that he loves. And so maybe that will jog his memory. And so it's not just a disc. Dave, it's not just a disc. It's a zip disc.
Oh, that's right. But what's glorious about this is that Kenta tries to show him and literally does not know how to put the zip disk into the computer.
Yeah, well, he, like many people, have never used a zip disk. Zip disks were only around for like 2 years.
I really love the commitment to Kenta at no point ever learning literally anything about computers, despite the fact that he is ostensibly in the Digital Research Club. And like, he's only there to hang out with these 4 people.
And he is specifically a computer-themed superhero who does not know how computers work.
So we see the Giga Guy Rail and the other 3, the Frozen Rangers, and they're in a cave, and Shibolena shows up, and she is furious. She's like, how could you have done this to Ugande? This is terrible. You're terrible. This is a terrible plan. You suck, and everything you think sucks.
Yeah.
Giga Guy Rail. Now, when we say it's Giga Guy Rail, it is just Guy Rail.
Right, personality-wise.
He has, like, absorbed.
Yeah.
Yes. Guirail is 100% in the driver's seat. He has like absorbed Ugande's power, but it is just Guirail.
Right, because
he says, "Listen,
Guirail's
man."
idea, if I can interject here, is that like Ugande is stronger than Guirail, but Guirail is like clever. So his thought is like, I'll just absorb Ugande's strength, and that partnered with like my cunning will make me an unstoppable force.
Yes,
but like he doesn't bring
so far.
Yeah, but like he doesn't bring any of Ugande's like self into this combination.
Yeah, which is part of the reason why Shibolin is so angry. So Giga Guirail's like, listen, man, Javia said by any means necessary. And then he sort of lays that out. He's like, Uganda is very strong, but he's a big dumb dummy. I'm very smart. I've absorbed his power. We're better together. We're going to defeat I've already got 3 of these clowns on ice. Like, say what you want, but this plan is working.
Yeah. So back at the Digital Research Club, after Kenta struggles with the zip disk, he hears outside Giga Guirail like shouting at him, and he goes outside. And
so they run outside.
What is happening is that Giga Guirail has like projected himself across the sky, and there's like him. You can see him and the 3 rangers who are in their like ice cages. And he's like, "Hey, remaining Megarangers, y'all suck. I have your friends. If you ever want to see them again, come to like this particular mine entrance.
Like, yeah, come get some.
And I'll be waiting." And Kent is like,
Shun, of course, is terrified.
"Oh, sure," because
he's like, "Who's that? I have no idea what's happening. This is all terrible. I'm just a teenager. I guess I'm in high school. Why would we be dealing with this?"
Yeah,
and Kenta, in a great moment, this is, I think, one of Kenta's best moments in the whole series so far. Because Kenta's whole thing is like, he's the Red Ranger, yes, but he is, he's irresponsible. He's kind of a goofball. He's very hot-headed. And in this moment, we see that at its core, Kenta actually does think this is really important, and he does take it really seriously. And we see this in his conversation with Shun. He's like, "Listen, man, yes, we're teenagers, but we have another life, a more important life, and that life is to be a Mega Ranger and to save the Earth." And he says, "Listen, if this doesn't jog your memory, I'm not sure what will. Check this out." And he henshins right in front of him.
Yeah.
And he says, "I have to go be a superhero. When you get your memory back, join me."
Yeah. And like
I have to go save our friends.
And he summons his cyber slider and he jumps off the roof and lands on his flying surfboard and like goes off to fight.
Yeah, it's like I said, I think it's probably the best Kenta moment that we've seen so far. So he shows up. Kenta does, Mega Red, and Giga Guirail is there, and he's like, "Where's your other buddy?" And Kenta, in a beautiful moment of bravado, just like, "Psh, I do not need help to fight you." He very definitely does.
Yeah, it goes really badly for him almost immediately.
Yeah, we flash back to Shun on the basketball court, the true place of memory. And he has like flashbacks, and he remembers the hand signs. And then he does like the universal thing where you're getting your memory back, for some reason, like on TV and movies, like getting your memory back like hurts. Like it's physically painful. Because people always hold their head and they're like,
my past!
As the past, as they're remembering. We get this great moment. Mr. Uiwa like runs by and he's got on some like protective gear, and he says, What are you, Shun? Why are you here?" And he says, I'm not sure." And he says, "You Digital Research Club guys are always together. Shouldn't you be with the other 4 of them?" He says, "Listen, there's been some Nezare activity reported in the area. We've evacuated. You should head home soon, but I'm out." And he does not ensure Shun's safety at all. Right. He's like, "You should go home, but I'm definitely leaving right now."
So Shun is like, "Yes, okay, apparently these people, we were always together, I guess. They're my friends, my team. Interesting." And instead of leaving, he goes back to the Digital Research Club like room, and he opens his locker, and inside there is a picture of the 5 of them all like, you can tell it's early season because of their haircuts, and they're all sort of like hugging and having fun. He opens his locker and he sees inside of it a photo of all 5 of them. It's probably a promotional photo that was taken for the show right at the beginning. You can tell it's early season because of their haircuts.
Dude, weirdly, I do not know. It does not seem like anybody in this show has gotten a haircut over the course of the entire filming.
It's really weird, although you don't watch the end credits, right? You don't watch through to the end to like the teaser.
No. I try to avoid the teasers.
So I do watch through the end credits to the teaser, and in the teaser of like the, hey, this is what we're going to talk about next week. I can like between this episode and next week, Kenta gets a haircut. It's not a good haircut. It still doesn't look as good as his hair from the beginning of the season, which was genuinely good. Anyway. So he opens up, he sees the picture, he's like, yes, I guess these people were my friends. I look happy in this picture next to them. We must have been friends. And like, he doesn't know, he still doesn't have his memories back, but he is like coming to terms with the fact that like, okay, even if I don't remember it, that guy who turned into a superhero and flew away, like, I'm in a picture with him. He seems to be my friend. I should follow him, even though I don't actually know what's going on.
So we flash from there to Red fighting Giga Gyrail. Obviously, it's going poorly. Shun shows up, like, behind a rock, I guess having just, like, jogged the whole way.
I guess.
Well, I noted it particularly because it was far enough away that Mega Red took his cyber slider, and then Shun is just like little macking it down the road.
Dude, okay.
On his way to this fight.
Now, think about what you know of Kenta, and think about the fact that he has a flying thing called a cyber slider that's just like a floating surfboard. That dude would take
he would take that thing down the block.
Yeah, he'd take it to the end of his driveway to check the mail if he could. Like,
I would. So this is also a great moment from Shun because he looks over and he's just like, well, I don't know how this is going to go and I'm not sure what to do, but I remember how that other guy did it, and he has his digitizer on the whole time and has been wearing it apparently. And he just henshins. He's like, this, I guess, is how you do it. 335, install Megaranger. And still has not gotten his memory back.
Right, so now he's standing there, he's Mega Blue, Giga Gyrail sees him, and he's like, hey, you're late to the party, and just starts completely destroying him. Because, like...
because he's forgotten all of his fighting skills as well. So, as he is just about to get, like, Mega Rocked, Mega Rocked, I didn't even do that on purpose, it's about to get extremely rocked in the dome, like last time, Mega Red jumps in and takes the hit. And in that moment, that is the thing that, like, unlocks Shun's memories. Right. And they do an amazing shot.
It's really good.
To represent his memories coming back.
Yeah, so he's like, why did you take the hit? And he's like, well, because we're a team. And when he hears, like, because we're a team, like, we hit this memory montage of, like episodes throughout the season where, like, Shun is, like, getting to know and, like, spending time with the various characters. And we cut to, like, this shot where, like, it's the 4 other Mega Rangers, right? Like, not in their Mega Ranger form, like in their non-henshined regular human form. And it's this, like, misty room, and they're standing in shadows. And they're, like, waving to him and calling him over, like, in his mind palace or whatever, and he's trying to, like, remember them, and then all of a sudden all 4 of them kind of, like, step out of the shadows, and he can like see their faces in his memory, and they're, like, waving to him and smiling, and he's like, oh my gosh, it's my friends, like, these are my dudes, my memory's back, Shun's back, baby. It's really good.
And then he's back. Yeah, then he is back, of course, and they start the thing.
It's a really clever way to shoot a scene like that. I thought it was very, very well done.
Yeah, clever, and you know what I love about particular moments like that is it is the triumph of cleverness over budget.
Yeah.
Because, like, for all of the stuff they have, like, these are like pretty low budget shows, you know what I mean? And so they don't, especially in like 97 or whatever, they don't have this gigantic budget to work with. They don't have like the ability to use like special effects in a strong way. And so they just come up with this thing and it really, really works. It's such a cool moment. So Shun, now he's back, baby, and he throws up the basketball sign and, you can really tell. I like the idea that they developed this move for basketball and then realized it would also work as a superhero move. Because so here's what it is. Shun has both the drill saber and the mega tomahawk. He runs forward. He throws them up, which distracts Giga Gyrail. While Giga Gyrail is looking up at the weapons that he's thrown, he just draws his blaster and shoots the dude Indiana Jones style. While Giga Gyrail is reeling from the blast, Mega Red jumps off of his shoulders, grabs both weapons out of mid-air, and like double tomahawk chops Giga Gyrail in the dome. It's dope.
Now, while he does that, he does also shout "dunk shot," which is amazing. And that disrupts Giga Gyrail. The three Mega Rangers that had been trapped in those cages are free. Giga Gyrail like disincorporates back into separate Gyrail and Ugande.
Yes. And he says, he's like, how could this have happened? Like, how did you defeat us?
It kind of has this great line where he's like, to unite your power, you must also unite your mind. And like, you did it. Like,
no. He says he says, sorry to correct you briefly. He says, you united powers, but not your minds. He's like, you screwed up, dude.
Yeah. Like that.
You weren't really working as a team.
Right. You need, as the title of the episode suggests, to go full throttle with the friendship combination. That's not what you did.
Yeah. So Gyrail's just like, well, I gotta try this one more time, and he merges again, but now they're giant. And there's a giant fight, which is mostly boring except for one glorious moment.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, they're about to get mega blasted with, I think, the, what's the flying rocket fist? Might just be called rocket fist. I don't remember. Anyways, they're about to get totally blasted. And Gyrail unmerges from Ugande for the express purpose of then using him as a human shield.
Yeah. So Ugande gets hit, but like they both kind of get hit, I think, but Ugande takes the brunt of it. They land back down on the ground, and Gyrail's like, boy, I guess Ugande wasn't the answer to me winning, and then they just both disappear. So I think Ugande is either still alive or can be revived, because I feel like this, if he died, they would have made more of a thing of it.
So, having defeated Giga Gyrail, we see it's Kenta and Shun, and they're super chummy again, and they're being like ultra best bros. And Chisato and Mika are like, wow, they're like super good friends now. It's a little bit creepy. Like, it's just a little weird, like, how chummy they are now.
Yeah, like, they're going really over the top. Like, they're just, like, each got an arm over the other's shoulder, and they're like, man, memories with friends are so important. And then they walk up to where the arcade is, and Kenta is like, oh boy, like, what could possibly make this day better? Hanging out with my pal, and also going to the arcade. One small problem, though, is that Kenta does not have any money, because he's Kenta.
He never has any money. And he's like, dude, we're buddies, right? Let me borrow some money. And Shun's like, no, never mind. Like, I gotta go. I'll catch you later. He's like, come on, man, we're friends. He's like, and then they're just talking back and forth.
And that's the end of that episode. There is one bit that I think we talked past, which was that after Ugande and Gyrail are defeated and like have to retreat, we get this like 3-second shot of Dr. Hinalar up in like the Nezare base, who has been watching this whole thing, and he's like, oh my dude, like, you do not mess with my man Ugande in that way. Like, I don't think he says that with words, but he says that with his eyes. Like, Dr. Hinalar is done with Guirail. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I am hoping that it plays out next week or in later weeks. But Dave, for now, that is the end of that episode. But it's not, of course, the end of our episode. Well, actually, no, I think it is. Because normally at this point, we would be going into the Creature Royale and trying to decide where the Monster of the Week lands. But the Monster of the Week was Guirail, really. And Uganda, kind of.
Giga Guirail, I guess, but that's not So I would say we just don't have a Monster of the Week this week.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Anything else you want to talk about?
Well, nothing new, Matt, I guess, aside from just the fact that how much I enjoy doing this show with you, my brother. So that's great.
It is great.
But no, I got nothing after that.
I also enjoy doing this show with you, my brother. But I guess for now, Dave, that is going to do it for another episode of The Spy Who Loved Megaranger. Before we finish up here, I'd like to remind you all that you can email the show at supersentaibrothers@gmail.com. If you want to get any updates on future episodes, or just check out the things that we're talking about on Twitter, we are at Super Sentai Bros. If you like the show, please remember, shining in the iTunes review section, there are 5 stars. If you want to give us a rating on there, that'd be very swell of you. The Super Sentai Brothers are a production of Retrograde Orbit Radio. To listen to all of the other great Retrograde Orbit Radio shows, you can find them all at retrogradeorbitradio.com. There's a new episode of Spectre that just came out. It's really good.
Nice.
I had a lot of fun with it. I recommend, if you have 3 hours, that you listen to it. It doesn't have to all be on the same day. You can stretch it out. Anyway, that's us. Once again, we are the Super Sentai Brothers. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave.
And we'll see you next week for the greatest show on Earth.
Mega